Once again, good evening. Thank you for joining us on Ibru Primetime News. My name is Diana Rachel Mbugua. Our sign language interpreter for tonight is Joyce Wairimo. Now, 3 non-local teachers were killed in a suspected Al-Shabaab attack in Kamuthe area, Garissa County, police say. Now, the extremists also destroyed a communication mast in the dawn attack. According to the police, attack happened at around 2 a.m. when suspected armed militia attacked Kamuthe Primary School, Kamuthe Police Post, a telecommunication mast, and murdered 3 teachers. Garissa County Director of Education Halif Isaac said the attackers targeted male teachers and spared female teachers.
Sijui niliona kama ilikuwa imetoka pande ile hivi. Nikafungua mlango kutoka nilikuwa nimelala. Kufungua mlango nikaona watu hapa hivi. Zingine nikasikia. So simu yangu ilikuwa hapo chini kwa kiti, kuchukua simu, marisasi kaingia hapo kwa mlango yangu. Ndipo nilikimbia nilikiwa tu na kaptura. Nikaenda wakanifuata, wawili wakanifuata mpaka ni roughly 200 meters.
We had one who talked in Kiswahili. He said, hakikisha hapo hakuna mtu ako uhai. Then they came to this house, the men's house. Then they killed them.
What we are saying, they might plan the next, we don't know what are they going for. So now we have that fear because most of the teachers, they are moving, the security now is down, people, they are not doing the business. So our challenge, the main challenge now, the people they are targeting is about the sector of the health and education. So if all the teachers move from our areas and we know the performance of our schools, the result, the way we have seen, and adding addition to that now we see the insecurity, it's like now we are coming to the ground.
Now, the Kenya National Union of Teachers has threatened to call for a nationwide demonstration following the rising insecurity cases that have placed the lives of teachers at risk. Through their Secretary General, Wilson Sosion, the union has called for an urgent meeting with the Ministry of Education and teachers' employers to seek for an amicable solution. Our reporter, Milia Kisenya, with more.
Following the recent attacks experienced in northeastern regions, specifically Garissa County and Mandera, a total of 7 teachers and students have succumbed to their deaths due to Al-Shabaab attacks, putting the lives of teachers and students at a great risk. NAT has now come out and condemned the killings and called upon the Ministry of Education and TSC to look into the safety of the teachers. Speaking earlier today, the Secretary General Wilson Sosion threatened to hold a nationwide demonstration if the Ministry of Education and the teachers' employer, TSC, does not withdraw the teachers deployed in the area.
And we are telling teachers, no one will protect you except yourself. The employer will not protect you. And anybody else, communities, cannot protect you. If now there are indications that you cannot be protected, then we must rise to protect ourselves. And we can only protect ourselves by taking severe action.
Sosion has now called for what he terms as an urgent meeting with the 2 parties for ensurety of the safety of the teachers.
Failure to cause a meeting. Now listen, failure to cause a meeting. We shall have no option but to undertake 2 things. 1, organize immediate pull-out of teachers from insecure schools and regions in any part of Kenya. It will not only be northern Kenya.
Last week, 4 pupils from Saratho Primary School succumbed to their deaths while sorting for refuge at a nearby police station in Dadaab. The latest attack has occurred today at 2 a.m. and has seen 3 male teachers lose their lives after an alleged Al-Shabaab attack. The teachers include Caleb Mutangia Mutua from Makueni County, Titus Asieka Mushindi from Kakamega County, and Samuel Mutua from Makueni County. Education CS George Magoha, who earlier today was monitoring the 100% transition policy at Moi Girls Nairobi, condemned the killings of teachers and pupils and further threw the safety concern to the Ministry of Interior.
This country, the security of life is most important. The question you are asking me now must be answered by the Ministry of Interior, who is responsible for the security of all citizens, including yourself. And I think we shall manage our schools with that perspective in mind.
This is not the first instance of not calling for the transfer of teachers deployed by TSC in unsafe areas in the country. Last year, teachers demonstrated following the rise of insecurity in the northeastern region and called for their transfers. However, the move was met with a lot of backlash from the TSC and several political leaders in the northeastern region. Mile Kisenya for Ebru TV.
Now to the corridors of justice. The High Court in Nairobi has directed the Attorney General Paul Kihara to give his advisory opinion on state's disobedience of court orders in lawyer Miguna's case after he failed to attend court in person. Elsewhere, Justice Martha Mutuku denied Gatundu, Member of Parliament Moses Kuria, an anticipatory bail of over suspicion arrests and instead directed him to take plea on Tuesday. Our reporter Jeff Hayemba with more details on that story.
So before this court, it's not just a Miguna case. Before this court, as I see, is a fundamental constitutional question touching on disobedience of court orders. I need not say disobedience of court orders is a corrosive force that threatens the due administration of justice.
While giving a second court order, Justice John Mativo ordered the Attorney General Paul Kihara to appear in court in person or send a representative apart from just filing a written submission over his opinion as to why the government has for several occasions ignored the court orders.
There will be no point of going to court if the orders are not obeyed or complied with. It renders Article 50 rights impotent. There will be no point of guarantee a fair trial where a litigant cannot get the fruits of the judgment. So it is therefore paramount that the opinion of the Honorable Attorney General on this issue as an amicus curiae be provided. That's all what we want.
Just kill me. I'm not going.
The controversial lawyer Miguna was deported back to his second home country of Canada after swearing in the opposition chief Raila Odinga as the people's president and also forming the National Resistance Movement NRM, which was outlawed by the government with claims it's a criminal gang. However, after a court battle, the court directed the Ministry of the Interior and the coordination under Dr. Fred Matiang'i to facilitate the comeback of Miguna back in the country. But the efforts by the controversial lawyer Miguna to get back to Kenya has proved futile. Elsewhere, Justice Martha Mutuku on Monday declined to give the Gatundu South Member of Parliament Moses Kuria the anticipatory bail after he raised alarm over a planned arrest after leaving the courtroom. The controversial lawyer and a friend to the Deputy President William Ruto is accused of assaulting a woman by the name Joyce Wanja after a studio interview in one of the media houses.
I find no reason to grant the suspect anticipatory bail at this stage, as the same is in force as was issued by miscellaneous application 106 of
Justice Mutuku, on the other hand, ruled Moses Kuria to take plea on Tuesday. More than 10 members of parliament who are Kamara Kuria in court faulted some forces in government for subverting the will of the people by disobeying the court orders.
I do find that the charges before court are proper in law. I find no good reason to defer the charges any further, and the suspect is hereby invited to plead to the charges.
Disobedience of court orders is a precursor to revolutions. And I want to tell this country that when citizens are disenfranchised, their last line of defense is in the judiciary.
But those are still games of trying to intimidate Moses Kuria from this course.
So please, even those people, 5 people, they are Kenyans and they have got their rights. So, release them. I am the problem. If you think I'm the problem, I am the problem. Mr. President, mimi ndio shida, wachilia watu yangu.
Deputy President William Ruto over the weekend accused the Interior and the Coordination Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i for failure to adhere to the rule of law, where several court orders has been defied by his office. The fate of lawyer Miguna coming back to the country until now hangs in balance. Reporting for Ebru TV, I'm Jeff Hayemba.
Now, the government has released 32.5 billion shillings to cater for free-day secondary schools in the country. According to Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha, each student will get 22,240 shillings annually.
Form 1s reported to various schools around the country for admissions, and the Cabinet Secretary for Education, George Magoha, inspected the admission exercise at Moi Girls in Kibra. The Cabinet Secretary revealed that the government has released funds for the free-day secondary schools, aiming at the 100% transition from primary to secondary.
Principals are doing what precisely we told them to do, that every child that comes to you must, without choice, be given access to school, and including those that do not have the requisite fees that is required. I think that is happening countrywide. Uploading them through NEMIS, the process is slow but it is ongoing, and we hope that by the end of the day we shall have covered a significant number.
Recently, there have been an outcry from parents who do not have means to educate their children and who did exceptionally well in the recent concluded Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education.
We want all the children to be given unfettered access to schools, irrespective of their ability to pay, irrespective of their physical condition. For example, I've said for the upteenth time that our daughters and granddaughters who perhaps are pregnant should come and get enrolled, and that I want also to reaffirm that no principal is allowed to send any child home for lack of fee or any amount of money that is pending.
In the fee structure, the government assured that it will pay for each student's basic need through NEMIS, irrespective of the school category. The ministry expects each school to be duly registered and headed by the Teacher Service Commission appointed principal. Schools and their bank's account must be registered on the NEMIS platform.
This is a democracy, and you must be very, let me not say stupid, but you must be very not intelligent as a parent if somebody is going to direct you to a particular shop to buy uniform. If, for example, you want to buy uniforms for this school, if I were you, I would have moved around earlier and checked where it is cheapest, and I would have bought it earlier. So those parents, don't listen to them. They are busybodies because they are not serious.
Elsewhere, the CS has allayed fears over an imminent strike by university lecturers.
We are engaging positively. First of all, there shall be no strike, because we are learned people. I'm one of the learned dons. It doesn't make sense to go on strike. You go on strike if you think the strike is going to make, to get something done faster.
Form 1s have been given until Friday, January 17th to report to their respective schools. Abdiaziz Hashimi, Brew TV.
Now, the government has gazetted a 14-member steering committee which will be tasked to oversee the implementation of the Building Bridges Initiative report. The committee has been directed to submit its comprehensive advice to the government by June 30th, 2020.
Another member of BBI. It's all systems go for the BBI Task Force Committee that will now guide how the report shall be implemented. The members are Garissa Senator Mohamed Yusuf Haji, Bishop Lawi Matthew, Maison Leshomo, James Matundura and Rose Museu. Others are Agnes Kavindo Mudhama, Said Mwaguni, Bishop Peter Njenga, Archbishop Emeritus Zacharias Okoth, Adam Solo, Busia Senator Amos Wako, Florence Mose, Morompi Oleronke and John Sei. The steering committee shall also solicit, receive and consider written memoranda or information from the public and may carry out or cause to be carried out such assessments, studies or research as may inform its mandate.
I honestly believe we have set the path to long-term prosperity and stability for our nation. A time comes, let us shelve these things. Let us debate.
Uhuru met the BBI task force at State House, Nairobi on December last year, where he requested the team to continue leading the process.
But you said that this is not the end. It's a beginning. Because these are proposals which have come out of deliberations with some Kenyans, not all Kenyans. From here now, we are going to then begin a national debate.
The president, who was in the company of ODM leader Raila Odinga, thanked the team for putting together a report that he said captured the aspirations of Kenyans. Eric Mnene, Ebru TV.
Now, still on the BBI politics, a section of the members of parliament allied to President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition chief Raila Odinga has taken issue with Deputy President William Ruto over his latest attack to the Building Bridges Initiative consultative meetings. However, DP Ruto allies, in a quick rejoinder, castigated their counterparts for using BBI as a political vehicle in campaigning for 2022 politics. Here is now our reporter Jeff Haemba back with more details.
Just a day after Deputy President William Ruto said the BBI consultative meeting organized by the ODM leader Raila Odinga is meant to push for his 2022 succession politics, Raila Odinga's allies have come out with guns blazing, castigating the DP for undermining his boss, Uhuru Kenyatta.
Kwa hivyo tunamuuliza Deputy President wetu kwa heshima, wewe umeshaguliwa kuwa msaidizi wa rais wetu. Tafadhali mpe heshima yake. Huyu wetu hata amejifanya sasa hata kama president hakuna. Huyu ni kama sasa ndio president.
It is clear that the DP is hiding behind Prime Minister Raila Odinga and the BBI to fight the president. And those public officers the president has entrusted with the power of helping him run the government.
Led by the nominated member of parliament Maina Kamanda and several ODM leaders in a media briefing at the parliament buildings, claimed that William Ruto has declared war against the president and is using the BBI and Raila Odinga as the scapegoats.
We hukuchaguliwa president, we ngoja wakati wako uchaguliwe president. Ukishaguliwa president kama Mungu atakubali, lakini kwa maoni ya Maina Kamanda ni ya kwamba Mungu akujalie usije ukawa president wa nchi yetu.
Ruto should have the courage to face the president instead of hiding behind ODM.
And how do you talk about democracy and you're not comfortable when other people meet? Is it fair that you are the only ones who are supposed to meet? So when other people meet, then you start asking questions.
But in a quick rejoinder, DP Ruto's allies hit back, saying their counterparts have nothing substantive in driving the agenda for the Kenyans.
What we have seen ODM now do is to use BBI to divide the people of Kenya. And we said it yesterday, Mr. Odinga has already identified his replacement in Western Kenya for Musalia Mudavadi, for Wetangula. He has identified his replacement in Eastern Kenya for Kalonzo Musyoka. And that is the course they are on.
The Deputy President is not opposed to your meeting of Kenyans. He is opposed to your loitering. There is a world of a difference. When he was in Vihiga, he was fundraising for women groups. You were loitering in Kisii and speaking things that at the end of the day did not leave the citizens of Kisii a better people.
William Ruto said that the BBI and the handshake are being used to craft the ODM's 2022 succession politics, a remark supported by his troops.
If you are waiting for William Ruto to resign from this government, William Ruto is part and parcel of this government, just as President Uhuru Kenyatta is part and parcel of this government, just as we in Jubilee are part and parcel of this government. Hakuna mahali anaenda, na haendi, na hataenda.
So Junaid Mohammed, my good friend, distinguish between loitering and development tours. And therefore, we want to tell you, you are very welcome if you want to join us on this side of Tangatangaing and ensuring that there is development on each and every part of the country.
The escalating war between Team Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga and those of the Deputy President William Ruto comes even as the BBI team prepares for the second phase in collecting views from the Kenyans. Reporting for Ebru TV, I'm Jeff Haemba.
Now, away from politics, police arrested 10 Egerton University students as riots rocked the Njoro campus, where first and fourth year students were expected to sit their semester examinations. Police in full riot gear descended on groups of students who had gathered at the campus gate to try and force their way into the institution, even as management refused to recall them after the December 4th, 2019 demonstrations. Now, police were forced to lob tear gas canisters and fire live bullets in the air in the wee hours of Monday morning to disperse the students at the main campus, which has been a battleground since Sunday night. The students clapped clashed with the police amid a protest against the institution's move to impose a 17,000 shillings fee on learners to compensate for damage from a previous strike.
People should tell us, hii pesa inakuja aje, alafu sending most our guys saizi wametuma maskari, wanakuja na lori kuja kutenganisha student as studies, tunafaa kudefer to September, which is not good.
And as comrades, tunaumia sana. Hiyo pesa hatuna. Wazazi wana complain sana. Wakisema hii pesa ni nyingi. Sasa shida yetu ni hizi exams. Tulistrike kwa sababu ya exam card. Na pia exam cards zilitolewa late. Walisema tutoe exam cards late kama hatujamaliza kulipa fee. So kama wanafunzi walishindwa kulipa 10k, watapata wapi 17k?
Sasa tujui shida nini. Sijui watu wa Ministry of Education wamepika collabo na the admin ndio tunyanyasa sisi kama ma comrades ama nini. Sasa hii ni January 17k itatoka mimi tufanye mtihani.
Now, the Kenya Met Department has warned of heavy rainfall in parts of the country for the next few days. In a post on its Twitter account, the weatherman warned that the rains will be accompanied by low temperatures from 12 degrees to 26 degrees countrywide. The counties that will be most affected are Nyeri, Makindu, Nairobi, Garissa, Kisumu, Narok, Lamu, Mombasa, Meru, and Samburu. Last week, the Met Department said the heavy rainfall that has been experienced in many parts of the country will reduce. The heavy rainfall experienced across the country late last year saw people losing their property and lives. All right, now recent statistics from the National Transport and Safety Authority show that over 70 people lost their lives on Kenyan roads in the first 5 days of 2020. This means 14 lives were lost daily, equaling to a matatu killing all on board each day.
Despite warnings from authorities such as the Inspector General of Police, Hilary Mutyambai, and NTSA, accidents have been rising. The statistics shows that 31 pedestrians had perished by January 5th, compared to 13 who perished the same period last year, statistics that shows a 138% variance. 19 passengers have perished so far compared to 7 the same period last year, a 171% rise. 4 drivers have perished compared to 3 the same period last year, which is a 33.3% variance. Further, 13 motorcyclists have so far died compared to 8 the same period last year. 5 billion passengers have died so far compared to 1 in the same period last year. 1 pedal cyclist has died so far. At least 26 pedestrians have sustained serious injuries compared to 15 the same period last year. 4 have sustained slight injuries compared to 5. So far, 32 drivers have sustained serious injuries, while 81 passengers have sustained slight injuries. According to the previous NTSA report, at least 3,225 died on Kenyan roads in 2019. Last year, 10,825 people were injured in road accidents compared to 8,954 injuries recorded in 2018. The Inspector General of Police, Hilary Mutyambai, on December 19th had directed traffic police officers manning roadblocks to arrest all excess passengers in PSVs during the festive season. He made the announcement in a joint press briefing with the NTSA Director General, George Njau, warning that the rule will be enforced before and even after the festive season. However, despite the warnings, accidents have been rising. The World Health Organization says between 5,000 and 15,000 lives are lost on Kenyan roads every year. Busara Naman for Ebru TV.
Those are quite worrying statistics over there. Of course, we should try and be more careful on the roads. Now, to matters health, contraception is a way to prevent pregnancy. However, for people living with HIV, there are some particular issues to take into account when choosing a contraceptive method. However, for teenage girls, this is a discussion that most parents would rather not have. And as our health affairs reporter Winnie Lubembe tells us, avoidance of this rather sensitive topic is costing the lives of many young girls through unplanned pregnancies and backstreet abortion.
A study set out to investigate the socio-economic factors closely associated with adolescent age at first sex by using the Kenya Demographic and Health Survey 2008-2009 was conducted in 2010. The study sample, carried out among 3,511 adolescent women aged 15 to 24 years, showed that 61.9% of the adolescents were already sexually experienced as at the time of the study. With the increasing number of sexually active teenagers, reproductive health experts are now calling for the introduction of contraceptives to this age group, considered as a key population.
Prefer they are not sexually active, but the world around them also is not keeping them in that safe environment. So when they're sexually active, I think it would be good if we can address the issue, how to protect them.
Dr. Nelly Mugo, an obstetrician gynecologist and a principal research scientist at the Kenya Medical Research Institute, says making access to reproductive health services possible to adolescents will make it easier to curb cases of teenage pregnancies, early marriage and abortion.
So as a gynecologist, I've had the misfortune of removing rotten uteruses, cut up guts from instruments that have been introduced by young women desperate to terminate. And we know that the death rate, one of the highest causes of maternal mortality, is unsafe abortion. So access to contraceptive also protects girls from unsafe abortion.
In June 2019, results from the Evidence for Contraceptive Options for HIV Outcomes ECO study put these priorities sharply into focus. Jackie Wambui, who was actively involved in this exercise, tells us that women and adolescents need more choices for contraception and HIV prevention at the same clinic.
Girl may be led into sex work, not because of wanting, but because of a way for her to survive. And she may be using sex, not even just commercially, to pay her school fees, to pay her where she's going to stay because her parents are not well to do. So she has to do these kind of things. So that kind of setup is what we are saying. We want a young girl, once she accesses the facility, is just to have these choices there for her.
With culture, religion and general societal expectations being a factor, we sought to find out what the public thinks about allowing their teenage girls to access contraception.
Mtoto akipata akitumia family planning, akifika age ya kuolewa labda anaweza kosa mtoto, anaweza kuwa na shida mbeleni.
Ni vizuri tu msichana akivumilia asome, akifishia miaka 18 and above, ajue sasa yeye ameshatosha, yeye ni mwanamke, anaweza oleka, lakini kama baada kwa shule anaweza jitunza tu.
Mambo yenye inaambiwa hao watoto wa 16 years ifai kupatiwa hiyo kitu. Juu ni kukosea na ni kuonyesha watoto na wajafikisha inchi.
Mukifanya hivyo watoto watalipika. Hiyo ni kuharibu watoto.
According to United Nations Population Fund, every day in developing countries, 20,000 girls under the age of 18 give birth, amounting to 7.3 million births a year. However, 3 million girls in this age bracket resort to unsafe abortions, risking their lives and health. Winnie Lubembe for Ebru TV.
Now, in our international scene, the terrorist group Boko Haram has exploited high unemployment to recruit new fighters in Cameroon along the Nigerian border. To counter those efforts, some charity groups are offering training for unemployed youth to help them start their own businesses. Moki Edwin Kinzeka has this report by Anne Nzukeu in Amchide, Cameroon.
20-year-old Bazaye Umar says members of the Nigerian jihadist group Boko Haram attacked her village Amchide 2 years ago. They killed her mother and tried to recruit her.
They came to the neighborhood and told people that if we follow them, they'll give us money to go and work with them.
Some of the unemployed Cameroonian youth in her village joined Boko Haram, but Umar refused. She had just started a job training program and says the hope of steady income gave her courage to reject the terrorist group. Analysts say Boko Haram's attacks on villages along Nigeria's border have crippled the local economy, increasing joblessness and making it easier for the militants to recruit. But charity groups like the Catholic Mission of Marwa are fighting back with job training centers for locals.
This training helps all of us. It encourages us to stay in the village. This is our village. We cannot leave our village to go into the bush. With this work, we can buy food and medicine.
Cameroonian security expert Ntuda Ebode applauds the program's goal, but says they should be moved away from the border until the area is secured.
It's not good to train them and leave them there in a context where recruitments continue, and the distance to move from one country to another is too little. There's always a high risk they will find themselves caught again, either as a hostage or as a voluntary recruit.
But charity coordinators maintain that improving the local economies is a major deterrent for Boko Haram's recruiting efforts and requires creating jobs locally. Local leaders agree and say they want to see more programs for skills training and job placement.
We feel that they have made efforts, but it is very low, both in terms of the selection process and creating employment. It's so small. Even funding from organizations, some get it, but there are many who do not.
Over 400 villagers have so far received the job training since programs began in 2017 in Cameroon's far north region. For Anne Zwanke in Amchide, Cameroon, Moki, Edwin Kinzeka.
All right, that story takes us to a very short break, but when we come back, I'll be telling you what's happening in the world of business. Stay with us. All right, we are officially open for business here at Ibru Primetime News. Welcome back to the broadcast. Now, fuel cost levy has fallen to its lowest in 13 months due to heavy rains that have filled the country's power generation dams. Take a look.
Every cloud has a silver lining, and it is this silver lining the fuel users are looking up to after a period of long rains that caused havoc all over the country. The rains filled electricity generation dams, and for that, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority has reduced fuel cost levy for electricity users. In its latest data released on Friday, fuel cost charge dropped to 2 shillings and 50 cents per kilowatt hour. The last time FCC fell close to its levy was in January last year, when it stood at 2 shillings and 45 cents. The latest price marks a drop from 2 shillings and 65 cents per kilowatt hour last month and 3 shillings in November last year, offering Kenyans hope of reduction in power bills. This is a 0 shillings and 15 cents drop from last year, meaning that businesses and households will make more savings from the monthly consumption of electricity. The new levies will be subjected for all meter readings to be taken in January 2020, according to EPRA. FCC levy is influenced by the share of electricity from diesel generations and has not been on a decline following the heavy rains that started last November. The continued fall in FCC boosts the state's goal to provide cheaper power and become more competitive in matching other African nations such as Ethiopia, South Africa, and Egypt in the drive of new investments. Njeri Njogu for Air TV.
Ordinary Kenyan farmers who want to export avocado produce to the Beijing market can now breathe a sigh of relief after China agreed to slash the duty levied on avocado exports from 30% to 7%. Now, the move that will aid Kenyan farmers benefit from the lucrative Asian market was reached last week following negotiations with the most populous nation. Kenya avocado farmers' earnings may receive a major boost as the country targets the 1.5 billion market in China if they get 100 million people buying Kenyan avocado. According to the Trade Principal Secretary, Kenya and China are still negotiating on issues of stringent standards. China wanted Kenya to export a frozen avocado as opposed to fresh ones. However, the PS says negotiations are still ongoing, even as some Kenyan farms have already begun exporting the fresh commodity. The stringent measures to freeze the avocados might consequently limit small-scale farmers. This is according to the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate, KEFIS, which is overseeing the export of the fruit. This is given the size of investment required in terms of equipment to freeze the fruit, which is way beyond the means of small operators. Farmers will be required to put systems in place that will support the peeling and freezing of the produce to the required temperatures before export. China wants Kenyan farmers and traders to freeze the fruits to -30 degrees after peeling off the skin and further chill the fruit to -18 degrees while in transit to the destination. This means that farmers would have to invest heavily on cold rooms to meet the requirement. Kenya has been fighting over the last 7 years to have its avocado access the Chinese market in its fresh form. This has, however, largely been in vain with the fruit fly pests that are common affecting the local produce. For now, KEFIS says the country has created pest-free zones that will see avocado meant for exports handled as the government seeks to curb the fruit flies menace. Industrialists are pushing for punitive legislation to force firms and government entities to settle unpaid bills, saying the current stalemate is hurting the growth of small and medium enterprises. The Kenya Association of Manufacturers now want a more strict statute enacted to compel both private and public sector to honor outstanding bills within 90 days. The lobby says that the recent fiscal measures taken by Treasury as well as the Competition Authority of Kenya's law on abuse of buyer power are inadequate. The Treasury has directed all ministries, departments and agencies as well as the counties to treat pending bills as the first charge on every cash disbursed. The ministers, departments, agencies and counties owed suppliers and contractors 64.7 billion shillings and 88.98 billion shillings by the end of 2018-2019 financial year. Local bus assembly and body fabricators are set for a major boost after Housing and Urban Development Principal Secretary Charles Hinga reversed a decision to import bus rapid transit vehicles from South Africa. Hinga says preference will now be given to the supplier of the Mercedes-Benz buses to assemble the high-capacity buses in the country at a cost that is yet to be established.
The buses are to be deployed at the already marked Thika Superhighway and other major roads within the city. The first batch of the 30 BRT vehicles, which had already been identified in South Africa, has delayed to arrive in the country since last year. However, it is not yet clear where the supplier of the buses will set up a plant in Kenya, and the expected timeline dashing hopes of a majority of Kenyans from using the buses soon. It is also not clear whether it is Mercedes-Benz that will set up the plant or any other company that is authorized to fabricate the buses on behalf of the South Africa-based supplier. However, the move is said to be supported by local assemblers who have been pushing the state not to import the buses from South Africa. The government has been called upon to set up the right policy in place to guide the implementation of the BRT. The government is set to launch 6 bus rapid transit corridors in Nairobi in a move aimed at reducing traffic congestion in the capital. Priority corridors are JKA to Likoni, James Gishuru, Rironi, Bomas to Ruiru roads. Other motorways also identified include Ngong Road, Juja, Mama Lucy Timol, and Balozi to Imara roads. The optimum capacity, the corridors are expected to hold up to 950 high-capacity buses, reducing travel time and cost by 70%.
Now, from the world of business, let's take a look at the world of sports. Now, Bandari FC have sacked head coach Bernard Mwalala after identifying a catalogue of his failings at the club in the 2019-2020 season, with veteran tactician Twahir Muhyiddin poised to take charge on interim basis. Mwalala is understood to have been told of his fate after his side lost to Tusker 2-1 at Mbaraki Sports Club on Sunday, the result proving to be the final straw. The former Nzoia Sugar boss arrived at Bandari in the middle of 2018 season to replace Ken Othiambo, who ended his 4-year tenure with the coast-based club to further his studies abroad. Bandari, who have twice finished as league runners-up in the 2017 season and 2018-2019 season, are currently placed 11th on the grid with 18 points from 16 matches. An old hand in the job, Muhyiddin is familiar with the work environment, having steadied the club in at least 3 different spells, and could be a permanent replacement should results be pleasant. Now, round 2 action of the Muthaiga Golf Club Safari Tour leg is currently underway at the Muthaiga Club. Great Rift Valleys, just as Madoya shot a round of par 71 to set the early pace after round 1 action on Sunday. With a lead, the ABSA-sponsored golfers sat 2 strokes ahead of the Muthaiga duo of Greg Snow and Jeff Kubwa, who alongside Nigeria's Andrew Odo and Limuru's John Karichu shot rounds of 2 over par 73. Now, the Kenyan duo of Ronex Kipruto and Sheila Chepkirui made history in the streets of Valencia when they broke the 10 kilometers world records. Kipruto cut the tape in 26 minutes and 24 seconds to set a new mark even before World Athletics ratifies Ugandan Joshua Cheptegei's record, also set in Valencia last month. Now back to Valencia, the Kenyan duo of Ronex Kipruto and Sheila Chepkirui made history in the streets of Valencia when they broke the 10 kilometers world records. Kipruto cut the tape in 26 minutes and 24 seconds to set a new mark even before World Athletics ratifies Ugandan Joshua Cheptegei's record, also set in Valencia last month. Now, Kipruto, who won bronze in the 10,000 meters at the World Championships in Doha last September, was the star attraction in the race, and the 20-year-old, who came inches close to breaking the record in Prague in 2018, lived to expectations, winning the race and in world record time. Chepkirui, meanwhile, was one of 3 women to finish inside 30 minutes, the first time that has happened in any road race, as the Kenyan crossed the line in 29 minutes 42 seconds. Her performance takes 1 second off Joycelyn Jepkosgei's world record set in Prague in 2017. Well, on that NBA action, this is where we wrap up Ebru Primetime News. Thank you so much for choosing Ebru to start the week with you. Of course, thank you for always choosing us to inform you. My name is Diana Rachel Mbugua. Our sign language interpreter has been Joyce Werimo. Do have yourselves a lovely evening and enjoy the rest of your viewing. Do have God bless, and I now leave you with the weather forecast.